Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Locker Room, our weekly podcast where we shine a light on the student athletes here in our Bayou region. I am Stan Grover. He is Dustin Robichaud. We both work for Terrebonne General Health System, and we're very fortunate. We have the opportunity to bring news in the Bayou region related to athletics, sports, extracurricular activities in the schools. And it is football time. And when I say football time, unfortunately, most of our teams are not any longer playing, but we do have one, Vandebilt Catholic, that is in the Division II select bracket semifinals. I was about to say quarterfinals, but they won the quarterfinal game this Friday night in Lake Charles against Lake Charles Prep. So congratulations to Brian Wallace and his crew. We are going to feature Vandebilt Catholic a little bit later, as we will have Brian on the podcast. But first, as we do every Monday, we have Dustin, who's going to fill us in on what it is. By the way, did you have a great Thanksgiving?
I did, Stan. My turkey was chef's kiss, as they say.
Chef's kiss. Very good.
It came out very nice. No, today is actually, of course, Cyber Monday, holiday shopping done on Black Friday.
Right.
You got another opportunity here on Cyber Monday. And, that's what
Was that it? That's all you got?
Cyber Monday.
Cyber Monday. Yeah, I guess if you can make those deals along the way, you make those deals. Listen, as far as sports and things go in our Bayou region, basketball is starting to get hot and heavy. There are a lot of teams who have not taken the court yet. A lot of teams who strategically push back their start date because they thought their football teams would run deep into the playoffs. Sometimes it pays off. Sometimes your team is knocked out a little bit early. That being said, what happens is you don't want to start playing the basketball season and you don't have your full squad with you, right? So I totally get it. So a lot of schools have not hit the court yet. I mean, Vandebilt's boys, CCA's boys, E.D. White's boys haven't even played yet. Then you have some teams that have a couple of games under their belt. And I noticed there's actually one team that already has 7 basketball games. So basketball is not like football. You know, football is every weekend, every Thursday or Friday, you have a game, sometimes on a Saturday. But that being said, basketball sort of all over the place. Next week, we really get into basketball heavy, letting you know who's doing what, where everybody stands. And again, we were so happy to have those basketball coaches in to give us a little preview of their season a couple of weeks ago. So we look really forward to that. The one thing related to football, we just don't have very many teams in our area that go on to the semifinals. So certainly, we're going to jump on that Vandebilt Catholic bandwagon, and that's a community school we're going to support now, as they are our only Bayou Region school that is still in the playoffs. They have a big one this week against Shaw. It is right here in Houma. Brian Wallace doing a great job. Only one loss for Vandebilt this year. Had a terrific win on Friday night. I was fortunate enough to be out there in Lake Charles. In overtime, they defeat Lake Charles College Prep. Final score in that one was 31-28. A very talented, athletic Lake Charles Prep team. But Vandebilt is coached extremely well, and they were in the right place at the right time and got it done as they move on. Unfortunately, E.D. White dropped their game against St. Charles Catholic. We wish the best to Grant Barbera, quarterback for E.D. White, as he was hurt. I understand it was on the first or second play of the game offensively, and couldn't play that one. Listen, St. Charles Catholic's really good, and they win that one 31-0, and they move on. They'll be taking on a really good university team this weekend. Congratulations to E.D. White. They are certainly one of our stellar programs in the area and had another great year this year. With all that being said, as I mentioned earlier, we're so happy to have Brian Wallace with us. He is always very gracious with his time. Let's listen into what he has to say about how Friday went and what this Friday might have in store. It is my pleasure to have Brian Wallace with me. Of course, his Vandebilt Terriers with a huge win on Friday night over Lake Charles College Prep in the quarterfinals of Division I Select Football. Coach, good to have you here. How you feeling a couple of days after that big win?
Oh, feeling good. Just excited to have another opportunity to have 5 more days guaranteed for our season. Just looking forward for the matchup on Friday.
I've said this to you numerous times. We appreciate all the time you put in, but I had a cohort here, Dustin Robichaud, who made the comment. He said, well, it's kind of his fault. I said, why is that? He said, because they're so successful, obviously we want to hear from them and we want to talk to them. So obviously this is a feather in your cap and a feather in the cap of the program as a whole. That was a very athletic Lake Charles prep team. I don't know what the game plan was going in, and then you give up a pick six to start the game on your first offensive play. Talk about the mindset of the kids, because they certainly showed a lot of character.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously throwing a pick six on the first play was not in the game plan. But we just talk about all season is just kind of, just staying even keel, taking it one snap at a time, and hats off to the players and the coaching staff is they didn't flinch. No matter what happened, we go down 7-0 on the first play. Offense gets the ball, and then they drive, I think, 90 yards, score a touchdown, ensuing kickoff. They return it for a touchdown, and then we go back down 14-7. Offense goes down and scores. So it was just a kind of a testament to the poise of our team and our coaching staff, that they were just going to play every snap, one snap at a time for 48 minutes, and obviously we had to play the overtime. So just really excited to see that, they tested our will and our focus, and we were able just to survive the game and came out healthy and with a win.
Let's talk offense first. Obviously, this was a team that I think you felt like you probably could score some points, but from the standpoint of the game started playing out, it got better and better. Your offense really sort of got in a groove, and I guess the straw that stirs the drink is Ethan Heaney. He did a terrific job, especially in the second half of that game. Talk about not only him, but the offensive game plan and how to play out.
Well, I'll tell you this is we go as our quarterback goes. Ethan's done a phenomenal job all year in putting us in the right position, making the right checks. Obviously he commands the offense. He throws the ball really well. He's a dual threat guy, and again, when we need it, he's gets the first downs with the run game. So the game plan, obviously going in, LCCP was super athletic and very well coached on defense, and we wanted to establish the run game, which I thought we did a really good job of. Our offensive line handled a very athletic front that was doing some different things that they maybe had showed on tape. And they did a phenomenal job in handling that. And then, Bryce Thibodeau and Jay Smith with our running game, I thought hit the hole where it needed to be. And we talk about it, all year we've had these big plays, 15, 20, 30-yard gains, but going into playoffs, you're not going to get a lot of those. So it was just the patience to continue to hit the hole. And it was a 2-yard gain, a 4-yard gain, a 6-yard gain, an 8-yard gain, and stay ahead of the chains. And then, allowed us to take some shots down the field to our receivers because of the man coverage. And we connected on a lot of those and had 9 explosive plays on the game. So that was very pleasing to see. And we knew we needed to be able to connect on those deep balls and to help the offensive rhythm, which we were able to do. So excited to see that.
Defensively, your kids, unbelievable. But considering, again, this team scored about 45 points a game. Listen, they scored 70 points on Barb High School, who was just now playing in the quarterfinals for the 5A division, right? The Division 1 division. Yeah. So this is a team that can score it, no doubt about it. And 2 of those touchdowns, one on special teams, one that their defense scored, were not attributed to your defense. Talk about the effort there. I would single out a kid, but there's nobody to single out. It's a lot of kids who play really good team ball.
It was tough to pick a player of the game. We talk about defenses having 11 common people with one uncommon goal. And that's what really we have defensively is we have 11 guys on the field that just play together and execute, and they play the game hard. I was just super proud of the defense, really giving up 14 points, like you said, to a team that was averaging over 40 a game. The effort and physicality that they played with was unmatched, and just can't say enough about them. And that led to a lot of the decision-making at the end of the game. And really, why we ended up kicking the field goal is because 1, I knew they didn't have a field goal kicker, but 2, I was feeling confident with the way our defense was playing that at 4 downs, we could defend, 20 yards of field. and we ended up doing that just with the focus and the poise that they played with was great.
They had to play fourth and I think it was about 2 yards in the last play of the game, obviously in overtime. Was there any discussion in your huddle that they would come out in some kind of swinging gate look? Was that totally a surprise? Because if it was, your kids actually adjusted pretty well to it.
Well, it was a surprise. They hadn't showed that on film. But again, luckily enough, as we prepare, last week we played Carver, and it was the same formation that Carver ran every 2-point play. So we in other teams throughout the year, so in our weekly preparation, we always talk about gate or polecat, whatever it is, and how to align. So again, just the recall of that for those guys in that situation, hats off to them because again, they didn't flinch, they didn't panic, they get lined up, something they had to adjust to, and we end up making a play when the game's on the line. So that was awesome to see.
Listen, you're not going to get in the playoffs and have a game where you're going to have to grind like you did on Friday night. During the regular season, you might go out and just be better than other teams, and you may have a 14-point to a, 35-point lead in the fourth quarter. That's not going to happen all the time in the playoffs, unless you're Carr, right? That being said, your kids, man, they grinded really well in that game. There was no putting the head down at any point in the game. And I'm sure that's something that comes and is a reflection of your staff. Talk about that just a little bit.
Yeah, I just think that, when we got here, hired 2 years ago, we tried establishing that type of culture where we always talk about it's not who always plays the longest, it's not who plays the hardest, it's who plays the hardest the longest. And the way we train, the way our summers are, our summer weightlifting sessions, our off-season sessions, this is what we build this program for. We build our culture, and it starts in the weight room, and everything that we do. And it turns over our practices. We try to be very physical, Monday through Wednesday in practices to, again, prepare us for Friday nights. And it's, it fires me up to see that, that in games like this, it pays off. And that's what we try to tell the kids is like, hey, there's a reason why that we're going through this process. There's a reason why we train hard. There's a reason why we practice hard. There's a reason why we're detail oriented, and process oriented, not result oriented. Is for games like what happened last Friday night. And I think the kids again, they're buying in. They're starting to see the fruits of their labor, and just look forward to continue that going forward.
Twofold question. When did your staff turn the page on Friday night? And when did you allow the kids to turn the page on Friday night?
24-hour rule, like always. You know what I mean? It's one win. It doesn't count for more than that. Obviously, it's a big one, but it's still just one win. And so now, we got back. We had a nice bus ride home. We celebrated in the locker room. But Saturday was back to, we turned our eyes to Shaw, and we've been just in preparation since then. Learning and trying to capitalize from what we did last week, correct the mistakes, and then now, on the game plan for a really good Shaw team for our home game Friday night.
Listen, just a little history, and I'm sure you know this history, but related to Terrebonne Parish, it's not often. We have 7 high schools here in Terrebonne Parish. Only 3 have ever been to the semifinals. Vandebilt Catholic only 3 times in its history. Now, that's not considering, St. Francis Boys School back in the day.
Right.
When you consider 1977, a few years ago, and 21, when they actually played University. But that was at University. That wasn't a home game to play to get to the Dome. Very, very impressive as it goes. But it's tough, right? I mean, obviously Shaw won his state title last year.
Right.
That all being said, I guess give us the earliest preview that you can on what we might see out of Shaw and what has to be done on your end to make sure that Shaw doesn't win that game.
Right. So, Shaw obviously is very well coached. Coach Tierney has been doing this, very successful coach, runs a really solid program, got a lot of respect for him and his staff and how they play the game. Offensively, they're a good running team. They got an athletic quarterback. They have a bunch of good tailbacks. and a very well coached, hard-nosed offensive line. So they're going to try to establish the run. And then they have some really good receivers, some tall guys with speed on the outside, who are also, I think they're very tough on the edge blocking. So we have to do a good job of stopping the run, and that's where it's going to start. We got to be able to get after them, make them play behind the chains. We got to be able to tackle in space. We got to eliminate missed tackles. We're going to do that. Obviously, with we got to be good one-on-ones, but then we got to play with high effort. So it needs to be, accuracy through volume, and get a lot of hats to the football. And then we just got to limit the big plays. They're methodical with their deep shots off of play action. So we just been stressing to our defensive backs, like we got to be focused in every snap, because when you fall asleep, that's when they're going to take advantage of the deep shot. Defensively, again, I think their defensive backs are extremely athletic and very good, and they're good in the box. I think they're very well coached and sound schematically. So offensively, again, we're going to have to establish the run game, and again, it's not the 20 to 30 yard runs; it's the 2 to 3 yard runs that maybe turn into 4 to 5, that maybe turn into 6 to 7. We're just going to have to be patient in our run game, and then we're going to have to take what they give us in the pass game. If it's a 3 yard, 5 yard check down, well, we got to take that, and we just got to be smart with the ball. Obviously, we can't have turnovers. That's going to be a big key is ball security this week. Offensively, but we're going to have to execute when it's needed. And then special teams, we're going to have to clean up some things in our cover teams, and that starts with me. But we have to do a good job in our field position. We can't give these guys a short porch and give the ball on the plus side of the field like we did last week and shoot ourselves in the foot. So we're going to clean up some things because they have some dangerous returners. And we're going to have to continue to excel in the return game just as we've done and try to create some explosive plays for us.
Very good. Listen, I caution everybody out there who sees 4 losses for Shaw when you consider one was to Carr, which again is a stellar program out there in New Orleans area. One was Rummel, and one that I thought when you looked at it, you probably went, and that was Lafayette Christian because you had the opportunity to see Lafayette Christian in the Jamboree.
Yeah.
Obviously, this team can play. So that being said, I guess, would you validate that 4 losses were against really good teams, right?
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct. And, to me, everybody each week is 0-0 in the playoffs. It's win or go home. So, even our record, our, regular season they've played some top tier teams, some top programs in the state and handled themselves very well in those games. So hats off to them. But like right now, week to week, it's a new week. It's, I tell the kids, there's no more oops, there's no more my bads. It's win or go home. And, so Friday night, it's the same for them too. But their 4 losses have come to some very, very good teams in the state. But, playoff time's different. So we're on a level playing field when it comes to that.
Agree. Listen, congratulations for the success so far. You're making the community extremely proud. We're behind you, and best of luck on Friday night.
Thank you so much. And again, I just appreciate the support and just the recognition for Vandebilt, this great institution, and just thank you guys for everything you do.
A huge thanks to Brian Wallace for his time as his Terriers get ready to take on Shaw this Friday night in Division II Select Semifinal action. The winner of that one goes to the Dome. The winner of that one has to take on either St. Charles Catholic or University, and both of those teams are obviously really good, but you got to get there to have a chance to win it. Let's hope the Terriers do that. Terrebonne General is going to be behind them all the way. We'll be supporting them in any way we can this Friday night. Dustin, thanks for everything, putting this all together. Again, we hope you all had a terrific Thanksgiving. Any closing notes?
How was your turkey?
Oh, good. Good.
Yeah?
Good. It was store-bought.
Okay.
It was pre-done.
Okay.
Pre-done with ham and all of those things. And yeah, it was a good day. It was a good day. Thanksgiving's one of my favorites. What's your favorite holiday?
That is my favorite.
Is it your favorite?
I mean, I don't like having to make the turkey now, but that's my favorite holiday because I love food and I love everybody getting together, and it's just, you know, you don't have to spend quite as much money as you do in Christmas. So it's
I would agree with that.
yeah.
I would agree with that. No, it's a very thankful time, and certainly we're always thankful. And I've always been around high school sports during the Thanksgiving holiday, so got to, because my wife was Black Friday shopping, got to get out to the Vandebilt game on Friday night. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a good. You got me reminiscing about like just 4 or 5 days ago. So
There you go.
I hope everybody has a great Christmas season also. Got to get out of here. Join us next week, hopefully with us talking about a Vanderbilt win. We'll talk to you later.